Hello, everyone. How are you? Thanks for joining us. I am here with Mr. Robert Slack out of Florida, who has an amazing story to share with us. So, if you are in real estate and thinking about building a team and buying online leads, Robert here is going to share some of his story, and you're going to learn tons of insights in terms of becoming super successful. So, Robert, I will let you take it away, sir.
All right, Mr. Jesse. Well, as most of you can see that I'm not exactly a whiz kid. I'm 21 years old. I got into real estate when I was 65 because, to be quite honest, I'd blown all my money in '08 and '09, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that kind of story.
Right.
So I was 65 years old. I was selling used cars, and that's not much fun when you're 65. So sat down on a sheet of paper and tried to make a list of things that I could do as I got older. And amazingly, real estate came to the top. So I got my real estate license. It was about 6 months before I could afford to pay the MLS dues. I was really broke. And but eventually did, slopped around, didn't make any money for the next 6 months. Then one day I get a call from one of the salespeople at Zillow. Oh, we'll sell you this zip code for $168 and you'll have more leads than you know what to do with, So I was pretty desperate at this stage, and my wife was out shopping and the credit card was on the counter. So I charged that $168. Little did I know what would happen. So, actually, in the early days with Zillow, it was very good. It's about 5 years ago that happened. And I immediately got some leads, and I was working them really hard. I needed to. It was either work the leads or starve to death. So, so I got some closings pretty quick. I thought, this is an easy deal. So the salesman called me back about 2 weeks and suggested I buy another zip code. So I went for it, and that kept going for about 6 months, and it was wonderful. I had more leads than I knew what to do with at that stage. So, so the brokerage said, why don't you join us? We'll put you a team together. So I joined them, and their idea of putting me a team together was actually giving me 4 agents who'd taken the test the previous week. And so anyway, we got at it. I mean, it wasn't rocket science those days. We were, my number one recruit, the first home we showed was a $19,000 mobile home. So we didn't do a lot of training to show that, so.
Right.
So we went on down the road. I accumulated a fairly nice profile on Zillow, because it didn't matter on Zillow whether it was a $19,000 mobile home or $1 million mansion. It counted as sold, and you got a review from the buyer, and it all just counted the same. But I could see that the brokerage I was with was nickel and diming me to death. So, and they weren't doing anything to help. So on the 1st of October, 4 years ago, I opened my own brokerage with my 4 merry men, one of which was a lady. So 3 merry men and a merry lady. Okay, and we went at it. So they were out showing homes all day. I used to go in there, rattle around. I couldn't afford a secretary or whatever. Then I'd lock up and go to lunch, pretend I was big business. And but I started recruiting, and we had quite a lot of leads those days. And leads were very inexpensive 4 years ago. This was just prior to the time that they merged with Trulia, and so it was pretty good value. So it was fairly easy for me to run ads on. I ran ads on Craigslist. I wasn't proud, and I would offer people 40 leads a month from Zillow. And a fairly attractive commission split, and in no time I had about 15 or 20 agents. I thought, this is pretty easy.
Wow.
And in fact, one of those ladies that joined me almost 4 years ago is still with me today. She actually has the best conversion rate in the company. She converts at about 8.5% from raw leads.
Wow.
And she just got fired from Dunkin' Donuts, but she had a car and a tank of gas and a license. So she was hired. So,
Right.
So that's kind of, we hired some people those days that we probably wouldn't hire today. But she has been one of the stars of them, and so we're very happy about that. So in the first, by the end of the year, we'd sold about 40 properties. And so we just kept charging forward, and it was fairly good until Zillow merged with Trulia. And then what happened, they took a third of our spend and put it into Trulia. Well, in Florida at that time, the Trulia leads were terrible. So just in order to get the same amount of leads from Zillow, we had to increase our spend by 50%.
Wow.
So the property didn't go up 50%. It was just digging into our profitability.
Right.
But anyway, we kept plodding on. And by the end of the first full year, we had 40 agents. And in our first full year, we did 256 million in turnover. And so that was pretty good.
Wow.
It was, we were pretty happy about that.
Right.
And to be honest, we have never varied from what we did initially. We have always said we will give 40 leads. Now, these days, I do believe that 40 might be too many. So we're more aligned these days to say 30 to 40.
Right.
And there's more people getting closer to 30 than to 40.
Okay.
And then, of course, Zillow came out with market-based pricing, which was wonderful, except it was only market-based for about 30 days after they brought it out. And after the 30 days was up, they started manipulating the prices, and it just got more expensive and more expensive.
Right.
And so 2.5 years ago, we made a seismic shift and moved to realtor.com.
Wow.
And, which was fairly dramatic. It was actually Kevin Markarian that introduced me to realtor.com, and
nice.
Had been doing very well with them, and he's still doing very well today.
Right.
And Zillow weren't amused. I no longer was on the agent advisory board, which was fine. But I started closing about twice as many transactions for the same spend. And at that time, I'd got up to about 40,000 a month. So the spend was fairly dramatic.
Right.
And we just kept going. The second year, we did about, I think, 600 million in sales. Now, second year, I brought on Dan Walters, who was a broker in Orlando. Kind of interesting how we met. I'd accrued such a nice profile on Zillow that I had 250 recent sales and 100 recent reviews, and I started advertising in Dan's zip code in Orlando. And one day he picks the phone up and he says, "My name's Dan Walters, and what are you doing in my zip code?" So I said, "I'm sorry, Dan, that's my zip code now." He said, "But I've been selling these wonderful homes." And he said, "You were in Ocala and you were selling mobile homes." I said, "Well, I've sold 256 in the last year." I said, "The fact that 240 of them might be mobile homes is immaterial. You know, it's just numbers." So anyway, Dan, fortunately for both him and me, we got together, and he has helped me grow tremendously.
Right.
So that over the last 4 years, and it's 4 years and a month now that we've been in business, we're going to do right on between 2,500 and 2,550 homes this year.
Wow.
In the 4 years we've been around, we now have an office in Orlando that Dan works out of. We have an office in Fort Lauderdale. We have a title company in Fort Lauderdale. We have an office in Tampa.
Wow.
I work out of our head office, which is in Ocala. I'm in Ocala because this is where my grandkids are.
Right.
And I'm not about to move. And over this last year, we started a mortgage brokerage, which we have now become direct lenders. We do all our processing in-house. So we're fortunate that we're able to get multiple streams of income from buying these leads.
Right.
And we're very much a lead-driven company. But these days, with the cost of leads, it's important to have these multiple streams of income. And the title company does very well. Mortgage company does very well. Obviously, we do pretty good at real estate. And so all our thrust these days is how we can maximize the returns we get from these leads.
Right.
So, and on that vein, we're always looking for new ways to interact with the leads.
Right.
And so we've always used Follow Up Boss as our CRM. In Florida, we have a transaction management company called App Files, which we've used for 4 years. But we're starting to work the leads a lot more. Now, early on, I decided I'm going to have a call center in my home office. So we run a call center 365 days a year from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. Multilingual in our office in Ocala, live people. I hire girls from the local junior college, by and large, pay them $12 an hour, give them $50 if they set a showing that results in a sale. And I have a never-ending supply of these lovely young ladies working in my call center.
Wow. And how many do you have in there?
So we have 12. They don't all work at the same time. We work shifts, obviously, and we work weekends. And there's about 5 of them speak Spanish. So it works very well. And all we're trying to do, because we buy flex leads from realtor.com, which go out to I should say fast leads, I guess. So they go out to 2 individual agents. So we just need to be quicker than the other agent. So our standard these days is to answer that lead within 2 seconds. And it's all we do. We don't call expireds. We don't call FISBOs. We don't sell mailboxes or any of that. We're a lead-driven company, and pretty much what we do. So, and that's why recently we met Jesse, and we instituted CallAction, and we're extremely excited about it because with having a call center, we're well aware that a lot of people don't answer the phone these days. And I mean, I'm no different. If I don't recognize the number, I'm probably not going to answer my phone. So, and only 20% of people open emails. So what do? Well, we'd better maximize the texting. And so Jesse has this wonderful system called CallAction. And we have seen our engagement rate go from about 33% by calling the clients to actually 62% once they start getting this series of texts. And it has made a lot of difference to our business, the fact that we've been able to do that.
Yeah, if we double at the top of the funnel, more conversations from the very beginning, then that should trickle all the way down too, because
absolutely.
So yeah. And the one person asked the question, why do you always use women? Do you think that they're better on the phone and people are a little bit more acceptable to talk to them?
So we've actually had some men back there. And we keep a record of how many appointments they set. The men don't do as well. Also, when you have a mixed group working together, they're working till 10 o'clock at night, you leave yourself open to other issues. And so it's just worked very well for me to have all of these. Most of these girls are like 19. They're in the junior college for 2 years. They're delighted to get a job here for $12 an hour because their only other option is to work at the mall or work in fast food. So it's a very good job for them, and they're very quick on the phone. They do an outstanding job. And we really never have any vacancies because one of them always has a friend who's right there to step in when someone graduates on to the next school. So, it's just been a very good system.
Nice. Can you share maybe with the audience what the basic script is when they make the outbound phone call and how you kind of set up the
we're not terribly scripted, but basically it's, hey, Fred, good morning. This is Farana with Robert Slack Find Homes. I see that you just inquired about 123 Lakeshore Drive. I'm the assistant to Mary, who is the realtor.com assigned agent for that property, and I'd be happy to set an appointment up for you. She's free at 4 o'clock this afternoon. How would that be for you? And so they have a Google Calendar for all of our 300 agents. And so they know when the agent is free and when it's not. And if 4 o'clock's not going to work, well, how about we do it at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Right.
And they're always trying to fix an appointment. And would you like to see any other homes at the same time?
Okay.
No, okay, just that one. Good. Well, I'll have Mary. I'll send her the appointment, and she'll be contacting you to confirm it. And good luck in seeing the home tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And it's fairly simple. It's not terribly scripted because I don't want it to sound artificial. But that is the gist of it. We're just trying to set an appointment. Okay. They don't really answer any questions about the home. They don't talk about the HOA fees or anything like that.
Right.
If you want to know it, we'll have Mary give you a call with that information.
Okay. And typically, how many appointments are they able to set? This staff of 12 or so.
We set about 40 appointments per day.
Okay.
And so it works out very well. Now that I have a disparity, and I'm not happy about it, in that we set 40 appointments a day, but we're not selling enough of those at home, and I'm trying to figure out where we're falling down.
Okay.
Why we're not selling more homes to those 40 appointments a day. So it's just something that we're working on. And I think the problem is, I think it's the smorgasbord effect for the agents. I think they think, screw that one. There'll be plenty more tomorrow. So, too comfortable about getting a steady supply of leads, so.
Right. And so with the way that we've kind of implemented in there, so your workflow is the lead comes in, goes into follow-up boss, you have the call center attempt to make the phone call, and then after that, the leads are actually automatically routed directly to the agents. And once it hits the agent accounts, this is where we're basically, or call action is starting to interact on behalf of the agent directly, so that there's no friction in the handoff. Yeah. Have you seen the appointment rates climb at all from that?
So there's no question that our appointment rates have gone up since you did call action. And but that, when I'm saying we set 30 to 40, that's how many the girls in the call center are setting without the appointments that the
agents booking themselves
with the help of call action.
Okay. And as far as the long-term nurture of those leads at this point, so your agent kind of interacts with them, and I know that we've done a bunch of training with them to try and get them to reassign campaigns and nurture those leads. Yeah. Are you seeing a difference? I know it's still fairly early, and this is a weird seasonal shift right now.
Yes, so we are seeing a difference with those now. Okay. I understand that, we talk about call action here. We've also recently instituted a company called Ylopo.
Yep.
And we're using them to go through all of we have 200,000 old contacts. And we're going through, and what Ylopo does, they re-engage with those contacts. Right. They drop similar homes to what they first inquired about into their emails and also to the social media. But we're very early in the process with that, and we're not able to see how well it's done, but we're very excited about it at this time.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think they're doing all of your Facebook remarketing, and then we're pushing that back all to your website, and then that should be getting also more appointments. So hedging your bets on those old leads. So
no question about it. It's all a process with, being that it's all we do.
Right.
We just have to try and maximize what we get from those leads.
Right,
And
the revenue potential from those
yeah,
leads.
the leads are also directed to our loan officers.
Okay.
So our loan officers can interact with them.
Right.
And the leads are basically free for our mortgage company because we're buying them for the real estate company. And
Right.
we're pretty hopeful that our mortgage company will do as well or maybe even better than the real estate company with those leads. So.
And are they going, is the real estate company, I mean, the mortgage company, are they going back through and maybe remarketing some of those people as
Yes,
well and
yes.
doing long-term nurtures?
Yep, long-term nurtures
Okay.
and quite frequently we get like first-time home buyers call up and they'll say, well, we'd like to see that home, but do you know where we can get a mortgage to?
Right.
So
Right.
we
Okay.
immediately flip right over. We probably have 5 or 6 of those a day.
Right.
And flip right over to the mortgage company to get them started on the qualification process.
Wow. And I know last time I thought was really interesting was your approach on kind of expanding the company and expanding the team. You had mentioned that you would go out and you would actually research the zip codes and kind of buy the zip code first and then bring in the agents, which maybe sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but can you elaborate a little bit on your thoughts on that?
Well, so with Zillow, when I had Zillow, I could see how much the leads were and how much the property was. And actually, 4 months after I opened the brokerage, I was checking around on Zillow's site and I discovered that leads in Fort Lauderdale were fairly inexpensive in relation to the value of the property. So I bought some leads in Fort Lauderdale and I hired 3 agents in Fort Lauderdale, which for people that are not in Florida, it's only 4 hours from my office. Why wouldn't I? So it's like 300 miles. But anyway, so what we did from then on, when we went to realtor, it was a little different because realtor, they may have leads available today, but they're not available tomorrow. Okay. So we couldn't hire a dozen agents and tell them we're going to get those leads. And then we go back to realtor.com and discover that somebody has bought them all. So I thought, I'll be the guy that buys them all, and then we'll hire the people. So Palm Beach County, for example, was the last county that we got into. And so they had a lot of leads available. And so we went in and we bought 400 leads a month in Palm Beach County, which theoretically was enough for 10 agents. So we went down there, we ran some ads, we interviewed the people, and I could show them how many leads a day we were getting for the zip code they lived in. And it's not we're promising you to get your leads. It's we've got these leads. We need somebody to take care of them today. Right. So there was a certain amount of urgency that we could get them signed up, and it worked very well. And that's only about a year ago, and today we have we do about 10 or 12 million a month in Palm Beach County. Wow. And it's become a very good market for us, and we've got some very good agents there already. So it's been a good way to do it. Now that in the future, we're in 710 zip codes in Florida. Wow. We go from Pensacola to Key West, which anybody doesn't realize how big it is if they've never taken a road trip. That's the same distance as New York to Detroit. Wow. So it is a very long state. We hold our team meetings using Zoom. And incidentally, I didn't talk about that. We split the state up into 12 territories, and we have 12 team leaders. And we have a team leader meeting every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And then usually on Tuesdays, the team leaders have team meetings with their own teams at 9 o'clock. So, and so that's how we've been able to keep in touch with our team over such a large area. And it has worked very well. We also do our training by Zoom. Which is, we have a live trainer, and he goes on and goes through people's follow-up boss right there on the screen, and can train them live by video.
Right. And right now, so you have about 300 agents or so on the team?
Yeah, just right around 300.
Okay. And still giving them all 30, 40 leads a month?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
And as a whole, what's the total amount of leads that come in on a monthly basis? Just a ballpark.
so we're getting about 16,000 leads a month.
Okay.
When you take the dupes out and the junk, we're down to about 12.
Okay.
We actually, our lower end leads, we sell those to Op City.
Okay.
So we sell them about 3,000 right off the bottom, which is kind of crazy because I'm buying the leads from realtor.com. Realtor.com just bought Op City, so I'm now selling them their bottom level.
Sell them back their own inventory?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, but anyway, it didn't work that way, okay? So we're actually sending out to our agents between 9 and 11,000 leads.
Okay.
And and those are good workable leads.
And that translates to about 200, 225 transactions.
Yeah, we do about 250 sales a month.
Okay.
Now we started the year, so we initially forecast we'd do closer to 3,000 homes. Well, in November of last year, we had a hurricane come through and create havoc in the south half of Florida. Consequently, in January, I think we closed 80, and February wasn't much better. So it meant our numbers were very low at the beginning, but now we're up around the 250 mark. We've been up to 280, I think, in October. And fairly soon we feel comfortable. We'll be fairly comfortably over the 300 deals a month mark.
Right.
We're also seeing a fairly good increase in the average home price. When we first started in Ocala, our average home price was 140,000.
Right.
We're now at about 250,000.
Okay.
And as we do more and more in South Florida, we're seeing that number edge up to the 260s, 270s, and we'd like to get it up to 300,000. But whether that'll happen, I'm not sure. So.
Right. And do you still kind of promote trying to get reviews on Zillow to pick up some free stuff from them, or?
Really not, because my total spend with Zillow is $600 a month, and I do that to keep the dashboard open.
Right.
And I believe that, and I may be totally wrong in this, but my guess is they're going to do away with all of your old reviews, and they're going to go to a new system fairly soon. So we still get some, but it's not very many.
Right.
We at the moment, unless things change dramatically with Zillow, we don't really plan to do that much business with them, just because the cost of the leads is too high. Now Realtor also is edging up, so we're always looking for new lead sources, and we think that while Lopo is going to help, we do need to do a better job with the leads we've got. We need to be closing a higher percentage all the time, and so it's just it's a constant battle. It's like playing golf. You can't win. You can only do it a little bit better, so.
Right. Okay. And when a new agent comes on board, I mean, the training process and everything, because you've built this team fairly quickly, what does that training process kind of look like? Is it a fairly kind of quick process? Just
yes, it is. And I'll tell you,
board and or
we've learned that we need to pull the trigger an awful lot quicker than we used to. We give people the benefit of the doubt, and so these days we have an onboarding process. They're going to, within the first week, hopefully they're already members of the MLS and they've done their MLS training and stuff like that. And I'm talking about brand new agents. Going to do training with them the first week on basic selling skills, on follow-up boss, on app files, and their video training is all going to be in the first week. If they've got a day that they're not doing any video training, then they need to be riding with a designated ride-along person, and this is somebody who's killing it. and just one of our regular agents, or one of the team leaders. And but within 2 weeks, they're going to be out with leads. Now, they'd better have something pending in 30 days, because they're going to get a fairly stern review at the end of 30 days if they're not showing some aptitude for this. And we have a young man now that started 30 days ago, and he was a little slow at it in the beginning, but he put 4 pending this last week. So it generally, that's how it goes. It's kind of, they're a little bit deer in the headlights the first week or 2, and then suddenly when they get it, and it's like the floodgates are opened. And it's not unusual for them to be writing, 4 or 5 a week after that. So, but we don't, at 60 days, if you don't have anything going, you're probably going to get your leads cut. You can work your old leads, we won't fire you. You can work the leads you've had for the last 60 days, but you're not going to get any new ones till you're worth them.
So you hold them accountable to have some kind of production, and it's not this unlimited faucet of leads. They need to convert something. And let's say if an agent has a slow month, what's that gap look like?
Well, we don't worry about that too much. If this is an agent who's consistently doing 2 or 3 a month, and they have a slow month, no big deal. But if we have 3 slow months in a row, then it becomes a big deal, because obviously there's an issue, and generally it's an emotional upset or a family circumstances. We found that, births and marriages and divorces and deaths and that type of thing all dramatically affect a person's emotional state, and they can be a really good salesperson and then break up with their girlfriend or something, and their production just goes to hell over the next 90 days. So we need to know what's going on and help them through it.
All right. And so right now, just someone's asking a little bit about the workflow. So I'll kind of summarize it, which is, so it goes from realtor.com into a call center.
The leads come in, and Follow-Up Boss assigns the leads directly to the agents by zip code. All zip code routing. We don't use Shark Tank. We don't use Jump Ball or whatever you want to call it, because we're so spread out. We have to do it by zip code. Now then, if we get a very large zip code with a lot of leads in it, we can split those leads by price also. So we can have 2 or 3 agents in one zip code. One person's getting up to 250, somebody else is getting from 250 to 500, and the best one's getting the over 500. And so we can do it like that. The girls have, the call center has access to all the agents' leads. They've got broker access, and so they're calling on behalf of the agent. So they go straight to the agent, and then as soon as the agent takes over, the girls are done.
And so from Follow-Up Boss, then it goes to their dedicated call action number, which then also starts doing that outbound texting and trying to engage that lead to help along in the process of trying to get appointments at the end of the day, basically. But that starts that process. So realtor.com, Follow-Up Boss to agent directly to call action, which then starts that process. And then your agent is doing their own outreach. Have you seen that the accountability has gone up, or do you run individual reports on the agents, or what do you do for accountability to make sure that?
I'll tell you, and accountability is something that drives me nuts, because some of these agents just don't want to be accountable. But if they don't be accountable, the chances are they're not going to get many leads. So just the way it is. And, said, well, you can't make me call, I said, that's right. You can't make me give you leads either. So, so I get a little, salty about that stuff, so, but the accountability level of these agents is always disappointing. And you can have them do this. Oh yeah, I'm doing that. You can go in the Follow-Up Boss, and you ought to gag if you read some of them's Follow-Up Boss, so.
Well, one of the nice things I think is our integration with Follow-Up Boss. You're seeing those text conversations directly in there, so it gives you a little bit more insight and maybe some training opportunities.
Yeah.
So,
I get it. So, and it really helps, no question. So we're putting on, starting in about 2 weeks. We have someone starting who is going to every day sit at the desk and pore over everybody's follow-up posts.
okay.
Make sure that they are being accountable.
Right.
And if they're not, they're going to be accountable to me. And you either want to get a call from me because you're doing really well, or you really don't want to get a call from me, So,
right.
that works.
And do you, let's say if an agent achieves a certain level of production or something like that, I think a lot of people that are listening to this run teams as well. Do you do anything to kind of reward certain higher production? Does it change in their splits or anything like that?
We don't change splits because Realtor never changed what they charges for leads. It goes up, So our big split these days is if we're providing the lead, we have a 50-50 split.
Okay.
And if it's the agent's own sphere of influence, it's 70-30. Now then, out of our split, we pay our team leaders 10%. So, and the team leaders are there to manage and nurture and help the people on the team. And we have a couple of teams that are over 50 people. So, so it's a full-time management job. And the team leaders that do those teams are not in production themselves. They specifically are just running the teams. And so that's what it is. And when we're interviewing, interesting because we get the names, we pass the names off to the team leaders these days, let the team leaders do their interviews. And probably our most successful team leader, when he's interviewing, if they ever try to negotiate on the split, he said, "I'm sorry, you are not seeing the opportunity. This interview is over." And he's pretty tough about stuff like that because they try and negotiate that they're not seeing the opportunity that we're offering them. So,
all right. And if, for anyone that's thinking about trying to start buying some leads, or they want to, they want to come out in 2019 and say, okay, I want, a similar story as Robert Slack. What would be the thing that if you kind of looked back, what would you change if you had to do it again to make you feel like you would maybe be able to accelerate or succeed even faster than you did before?
So, and obviously, I look back and say, what could I do better? What could I do if I was starting today? I'm not sure I could start this again today because when I started it on Zillow, I was buying a lot of leads at $5 a lead.
Right.
It was pretty easy. There's nothing on Zillow at $5 these days. You look if you get something for 50. And so there's been about a 600% increase in the cost of leads. Realtor.com has started going nuts with their price increases. And so it has become way more difficult. And if you don't have all the processes in place, you need the call center, which is absolutely critical, because if you're not getting to those leads in 2 seconds, somebody else is getting to them in 10 seconds. Because there's Op City, for example. They're buying leads from everybody. And so they get to them in about 10 seconds. You have to beat them to the punch. So, so the call center, I think, was the biggest thing that I instituted that has helped towards our success. Obviously, we've had the leads, but that's just a factor of the amount of money I spend on leads these days. We spend about $400,000 a month on leads, so it's very expensive. And that used to be a fraction of that, and we still got a lot of leads, but it's just become tougher all the time. And you've got to put practices in place, which is going to help you maximize your conversion, like CallAction. And you also, I'd really recommend that you look at the multiple streams of income for having a mortgage brokerage, a title company, or whatever, because they really help. And so it's become way more complicated than it was when I started 4 years ago.
Right. Right.
Those just a matter of the leads were so cheap, it was, whatever. And so it is much tougher today because of the cost of the leads, because of the competition from other teams. I mean, Opsit is in direct competition with you because they're out there buying leads. So if we don't answer in 2 seconds, somebody else is. So that's why we've got the 2-second thing going.
Right. And how do you implement that? Are they getting some kind of dialer or?
Yeah, so it's fairly easy. We can just click on the number on Follow Up Boss and it dials it, and so it. So
you're just using the native dialer built straight into Follow Up Boss. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that's pretty much it. We're going to open this up, see if anybody has any questions. If you have any questions, you can pop into the chat really quick and we'll try and answer them live for you. If there is no questions, then we're going to be mindful of Robert's time for sharing everything with us, and we will get this wrapped up. So not seeing any questions. So again, thank you very, very much for your time, sir. I think that this has been an amazing, inspirational story for a lot of people to understand, to, take their business seriously and try and grow and do the right thing. And I think you shared some key insights in terms of the speed to lead being so critical on those leads. And then now as the business kind of evolves, like you said, having multiple streams to try and maximize the revenue opportunity on the leads, and then really the focus on the overall conversion of those leads and trying to increase your overall appointments that are set right from the very beginning. So someone asked in here, how many ISAs? So I think there is no ISAs. It's the 12.
We don't have any ISAs. They're not licensed. Therefore, they don't talk about the property. These are just assistants who are setting appointments. And we have anywhere between 10 and 12 of them at any one time.
Okay.
But they don't all work at the same time.
Oh, okay. How many people are on shift at one point in time usually?
3 to 4.
3 to 4? Okay.
Yeah.
And with 3 to 4, they're able to kind of keep up with that consistency?
Yes. And so, and here's an interesting little pointer for you. If you're looking at doing this and you have ISAs, make sure that they work in the shift from 5 in the afternoon till 8 in the evening, because that is a time of day when a lot of ladies that are in the business, they're picking the kids up from school, making dinner, helping with homework, and we do an amazing amount of business between those hours. Okay. Those are some of our most productive hours for getting calls that turn into sales, because other people are not answering the phone at that time.
At that time. Okay. And what about the leads that come in overnight? So first thing in the morning?
Yeah, first thing in the morning for those. And what we did, we went through and did a deep dive into all the leads that we'd had. We found that the ones that came in between 11 o'clock at night and 6 in the morning were extremely unproductive. Now then, I've talked to other brokerages that said they do well with those. We looked at all our leads, and I think only 5 deals had come in from leads that came in between 11 at night and 6 in the morning. Those are people that work in the night shift and they're cruising around on Zillow or realtor.com to pass the time. They're not actively looking for homes at that time of day. But 5 o'clock till 8 or 9 at night, dynamite.
Right. And typically, it sounded like there was an assumptive close almost in terms of for the appointment, because they already looked for a house. So,
yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that there was a couple other questions in here, but we will. CA helps initiate the conversations. I'm just looking if there's any questions.
So here's another thing, Jesse. We will set appointments in the call center on pending properties.
Wow.
Because we're going to send that lead out to the agent, and it's the agent's responsibility to say, hey, Fred, thanks for calling on 123 Lakeshore Drive. Unfortunately, it went under contract last night. However, the good news is I've got 128 just further down the street. It's got an extra bedroom, it's got a pool,
Right.
50,000 less, and I'd love to show you that one.
Okay. Huh. And so not be
Somebody
intimidated.
looking for a home. So
Right.
that's all.
Yeah, exactly. You know that you're going to have to show multiple ones anyway.
Yeah. Very few people buy the home they inquire about.
Right.
Remember that. You know, it's like it's in the low teens of percentage, the people that call on a home that actually buy that home.
Yeah, I think it's something. The last stat I saw, I think it's 9%.
Yeah,
Is
it's very
the
low.
house that that they call on is the one that they end up buying. So, all right. Well, again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. We're at 45 minutes. So really, really appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon. If anyone has any questions, can they reach out to you or one of your team leaders? Or
you can send me an email, robert@robertslack.com. Be happy to talk to you. I'm also on Facebook. So happy to hear from all of you, and either on Facebook or by email.
And are you still building the team? So if anyone wants to reach out and join the team?
Yeah. We don't charge for the leads, and we've got no monthly fees.
All right. Okay. Well, again, I thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. We look forward to working with you, and we look forward to have CallAction continue to basically grow that initial appointment setting and see how maybe we'll revisit this conversation in 3 to 6 months and we can document what the improvement has been for you.
Always happy to talk to you, Jesse. It's done a wonderful job for us. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. And let's see here.